If you're so good at trading, then what stopped you from becoming profitable? What if I told you that what you believe to be your biggest strengths could actually be the reasons that you're failing? This is entirely because you could be making trading so much more confusing than it really needs to be. So in this video, we're going to go over the reasons why you might be stuck and exactly how to overcome them. Let's dive right in. Now, the first and most important thing that I want to start with is your intelligence when it comes to trading. Now, as you can see here, trading rewards simplicity and not intelligence. Now, what I mean by this is trading is not like most careers. It is completely different because more knowledge in this particular subject doesn't actually mean that you've got better informed decisions. It can actually be the polar opposite and can be really detrimental for you. Sometimes the more information you know means the more confluences you have when you're on the chart, and this overthinking can lead to hesitation and you either miss trades or you place the wrong trades because you've got too much going on inside your head. When I'm talking about too much information in the space, there's multiple things that this could be, so I want to break that down. The first one will be having multiple strategies at once that you're trying to trade. Now, if you're looking at the same chart and you have two different strategies that you're looking for, but then one of them shows a buy and the other shows a sell, this is going to completely confuse you. Also, if this one has 5 confluences and this one has 3, and then all 5 confluences show for this trade, but then 2 of them also show for this trade, which is supposed to be the polar opposite, you're now overcomplicating everything, and it's going to make you doubt your own trades just because you've got 2 strategies that you're trying to trade at the same time. This doesn't work. Stick to one. Now, the next thing I want to go over is too many mentors or opinions. And what I mean by this is when you're looking at any other subjects in life, you want to get information off as many people as possible to gather different outlooks and different parts of knowledge. And this can still be beneficial in trading. But you'll notice that the more you do this and the more you follow different mentors and different people's opinions, the more you'll be confused because you're getting some people that might be saying to buy, some people might be saying to sell, some people might say don't be trading at all in this specific time window. So what I can't recommend enough is pick one mentor or pick 1 or 2 people to follow their videos on YouTube. If you watch ours, then only watch ours or watch somebody else with a similar strategy as well and stick to 1 or 2 people. You can't confuse yourself and continue to watch more and more traders because it will start to make things even harder for you when it comes to trading. This is because of things like conflicting rules on the charts. Like I was saying earlier, one of your mentors might be teaching you certain confluences that are very good confluences and they will be super beneficial and can help you become a profitable trader. But then another mentor might teach you completely different confluences that are also very, very good. Now, the problem with this is these 2 confluences aren't supposed to be in the same strategy. You're not supposed to be trading them at the same time. And because you're learning off 2 people and you know both of these pieces of information, your brain is going to naturally want to piece them together. But that's not how it works because this mentor has this strategy that works. This mentor has this strategy. If you try and mix them to create your own, most of the time, it's just going to confuse you because you've got multiple things to be looking at when you only need to focus on one. Things like this lead you to have no clear decision framework. And what I mean by this is because you're listening to so many people, you can't actually decide what works for you and what you have noticed is the best thing to do on the charts. You haven't got a clear roadmap or a funnel to your success because you're trying to follow little bits of multiple people, especially if this specific trader is doing unbelievable at the minute and he's having a great month. You're going to watch him and you're going to listen to him and you're going to take all his trades. And then the next month, that trader might do really bad and another trader might do unbelievable. And now because of that, you have this FOMO, which is the biggest fear. The biggest issue in trading is that fear of missing out. So because this trader's winning, you now jump to this strategy and you stay on this one for a while and then you realise, hang about, they're starting to lose again, this other one's winning. And you continue to jump back and forth and you'll never find profitability because you're consistently swapping who you're trading with or how you're learning your trading. This can be completely detrimental to your trading. A little reminder I want to add is that confusion feels productive, but in this case, it really isn't. If you're confused, it normally means you're taking a lot of information in, which makes you feel productive. Your brain naturally thinks, oh, well, if I'm confused, there's so much going on because I'm trying to learn it all at once, so I must be doing things right. I must be doing things well, and I'm on the right path, and I feel productive. But this is not the case with trading. You want to keep things as simple as possible, simplify it, because it's not worth trying to overcompensate for lack of trades with more knowledge. And that leads me perfectly into the next point, which is learning against practicing. And this is a point that I cannot stress the importance of enough. As said here, watching videos is not the same as doing. So you could sit there and watch hours and hours and hours of content on YouTube about how to trade consistently, and they might be doing really well and you've watched it so you know exactly how they do it, but you haven't done it. You've not been on the charts. You wouldn't take an apprenticeship as a joiner and watch hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos on how a joiner fits a staircase. The way that you learn in an apprenticeship is you go and you actually do the work, you do the job, and that's how you become better. Because as you do that, you face mistakes yourself that you then overcome because you know what's happening. It's very easy as well when you're watching YouTube videos to get a content consumption addiction. And what I mean by this is you'll see these YouTubers winning with their trades and they're showing consistently how they're being super profitable, and it leads you to watch more and more and more. And then recommended videos come up that lead you to watch more and more and more of them. And before you know it, you're in a deep, dark rabbit hole and you've learn all about 74 different confluences, which isn't going to help you at all, because now all they're going to do is counteract each other on the charts and you'll be left knowing absolutely nothing. It might feel like you know more, but you actually don't know what to do now because you know so much. Like I say here, the charts avoided and the videos abused is never a good tactic to go out when it comes to learning trading, because the skill that you've now learned is never been trained under pressure. Because if you're learning the skill, yes, you can become very, very knowledgeable in the aspect of trading and how to actually trade. You'll be smarter than most other traders, but your skill has never been trained under pressure. You don't know what all these skills you've learned, you don't know what they're like in live markets. And every time you try to learn them in live markets, you're putting all of these skills together so you can't actually execute a trade perfectly. And that's what a lot of it comes down to, is execution. A little idea that I want to add as well is that you can't outsource screen time. So don't think that somebody else is going to sit on the charts for you and do all of that personal back testing, forward testing, and understanding how the market moves. Many people have done it, yes, but you can't watch your way out of that. You can't outsource that task of actually being live on the charts yourself. That's something you have to do, regardless of how much money you have or how much time you have. It doesn't matter. This is something you can't avoid and you have to do. Now, when we're looking at types of knowledge, this is a really important point I want to talk about. There's two types. There's passive knowledge and there's execution data. Now, passive knowledge is things like strategy videos, theories and concepts, backtesting without emotion. And now the thing that this type of knowledge is going to do for you is it's going to help you to understand the skill and how to actually trade off the charts. The second type of knowledge is execution data, and this looks like live decisions, journaling mistakes, emotional reps, and real consequences. And now the reason this is so important is because this is what gives you the edge in the market. These live decisions are going to make you a better trader. If you win, you know what works now. If you lose, you know what doesn't work. And you've now got data from that because you made a live decision, you've journaled that mistake, and you now know, right, well, next time, if this, and this happens, I know to avoid it. And this is how it can benefit you. And like I say here, no type 2 data gives you no edge. If you don't have type 2 data, when you look back at all of the knowledge and skills that you've built, when you've documented, hopefully, all of the knowledge you've learned in trading, you need to really look through that data and think, have I got any type 2 data? These are some of the examples of what type 2 data would be. Just make sure that you've got that in, because this is what gives you the edge in the markets. And this is what a lot of unprofitable traders are missing. Now, this next point is absolutely huge, and this is an ego trap that a lot of people fall into. I like to call it the smart trader identity trap. And what that means is you have built this character in your mind of yourself as a profitable trader. You've gone from learning trading to now creating the character of a profitable trader in your head. And because you've done that, you go into want to protect your intelligence. You've learned so much that you think, I should definitely be profitable with how much I know. So now you need to protect that intelligence, keep that ego lifted, and make sure that nobody else sees you as an unprofitable trader. Because of that, things like being wrong with the market feels personal to you. Your losses start to feel like failures, and your ego is attached to the outcomes that you have. And this is a major issue because this causes things like avoiding trades, overanalysis, trying to outthink drawdowns, and delaying execution. Now, a big one I want to go over there is trying to outthink drawdowns. If you go into drawdown, stop panicking. Don't try and outthink how you can get out of this drawdown by tactically using different strategies. No, just realize that some trades are going to be losses and some trades are going to be wins. Nobody has a 100% win rate. And if they don't, and they're making millions, then you definitely can't have a 100% win rate. It's not possible. So understand that there's going to be losses, and sometimes that might put you in drawdown, and that's absolutely fine. You just keep it black and white, stick to the same thing that you would be doing if you were 2, 3, 4% up. It doesn't make a difference. You just stay in the same path, whether you're in drawdown or in profit, because you've got to react without emotions. If you try and create specific tactical plans consistently to get out of drawdown, then all this is going to do is hinder your performance because you're now acting off emotion. The only thing I would recommend when it comes to being in drawdown is maybe lowering your risk slightly, a little bit, just so that as you go further, if you do, you're not risking as much each time to put your account in a detrimental place. Apart from that, stop trying to create different strategies to beat your way out of drawdown, because it's not any different from being in profit. Now, the core issue that I wanted to highlight here is avoiding losses means avoiding learning. And that is huge, because a lot of people, when they trade, like I say, with this smart trader identity trap, they're going to attach themselves to them losses and think, I can't let people know that I've had these losses, and I don't want to document them, because then people will see, oh, look at all the losses that I've had on my account. That's not good. And I want to be known as a profitable trader, and I want to be a profitable trader. That's entirely wrong. If you avoid a trade because you think it's going to be a loss, then you are not avoiding that loss there. You're avoiding that lesson. And this is vital, because let's put ourselves in a scenario. You found a perfect trade setup that would normally be absolutely fine. It's hit all of your confluences. It perfectly matches your strategy, and you would be ready to enter. However, you learned a different confluence in a video 5 months ago from a random trader that you've never seen before, that you have now noticed this specific confluence has happened on the charts. Even though everything else in your strategy has been hit, this confluence has happened, and that might be a chance the price is going to move in the opposite direction from the way you want it to. So now you avoid the trade. Let's go through all the variables here. If you avoid that trade and the trade comes in and wins, you're going to be kicking yourself. You're going to be absolutely fuming because of that. If the trade then loses when you've came out of that trade and you haven't taken it, you're going to think, wow, I've done amazing there because I've avoided that trade, and I knew that confluence would help me 5 months ago. Even though it's not part of my strategy, I've avoided that trade. But that's not the case, because let's look at, if we enter a trade, you're either going to win and you've made profit, which is the entire reason we're in trading anyway, or if you lose, you haven't lost. You've created a lesson for yourself. You've given yourself an opportunity to go back and learn how that trade has lost, why that trade has lost, and document that to get yourself data so that you don't do that again. Sometimes trading isn't about trying to figure out the right way. It's sometimes about trying to figure out all the ways that you shouldn't be doing it with your specific strategy. What things don't work. And if you go through all the things that don't work bit by bit, eventually the only things you'll have left are the things that do. And this leads me on nicely to my next point, which is skipping the necessary losing phase. And what I mean by this is it is almost physically impossible to go from learning as a trader to being a profitable trader. There's a very, very small amount, if any, people that ever go from just learning to straight profitability. And that's because you want to keep that smart trader identity that we were on about before, but it's not possible. You have to go through that stage of being unprofitable first and accept the fact that you're going to have that stepping stone to become a profitable trader. If you speak to any experienced profitable trader, I can guarantee you they went through a huge phase of being unprofitable when they didn't know everything, but they became comfortable in that. That's the secret you're looking for, is being comfortable being unprofitable. What I mean by that is that you have to understand everybody pays their tuition. No matter what it is you do, you're going to have to pay your tuition first. You have to pay your way. If you want to buy anything, you have to pay for it first before you use it. If you want to get a degree, you have to pay your tuition to learn before you do. It's the exact same in trading. Consider all of the losses that you're having as your tuition. Be comfortable with being unprofitable, because every loss you take, or that little bit of money that you've lost, is actually you just paying your tuition. It's you building up or receiving lessons. Every time that you lose a trade, that is a lesson. You can document this, you can break it down, and you can understand why you've lost and keep that in your data collection to understand how that trade didn't work and how you can avoid doing that in future. Losses are data, not verdicts. I can't stress this enough. You've got to see them as a benefit for you. If it is a loss, that's all good. It's data. If it's a win, that's amazing. It's profit. The analogy that I want to use here is about missing free kicks before scoring them. A professional footballer doesn't step onto the pitch and take one free kick, miss, and then say, I'm never taking a free kick again. The only way that that professional footballer is going to become better at taking free kicks is if they continue to take them, they continue to miss, and each time they realise why they might have missed, adjust that part of the body or adjust that part of the free kick, and the more they take, the more they miss, the more they understand what not to do, and they get to the conclusion of what to actually do. It's the exact same with trading. You can't expect to just instantly hit perfect trades every time. You're going to have losses. You need to understand where you went wrong in them losses, take them as lessons, and eventually you will have perfect trades once you start to understand the things that you don't want to do. The next thing I want to move on to is why less intelligent traders often win. And that all boils down to 4 things. They tend to act faster, they have fewer failure scenarios, they have less hesitation on the charts, and more execution. And what I mean by this is because they are just ignorant and they just focus on this small task at hand in front of them, they're going to act faster. They're going to move with momentum through the phases or through each step because they have momentum and they are ignorant to ignoring all of the outside noise. They have less hesitation because they don't think too deeply into things, they just enter the trade. And when they've entered that, if it's a loss, then they're making their losses quicker and they're moving forward through the process quicker. I hope you can understand that losses have to be a part of this now. This moves me perfectly into the next point, which is momentum versus friction. Ignorance builds momentum. I can't stress this enough. Being ignorant to all of the outside noise and everything else or any other possible variable or factor and just looking at a trade as it is in black and white and taking the win or the loss and analysing why it's won or why it's lost is the best way to go about it. And then move on and keep moving with momentum because you're ignorant to everything else. Sometimes intelligence can create friction if it's unmanaged or not managed properly. If you continue to grow your level of intelligence and you continue to look at more and more videos, it's going to create that friction because it's just going to build that hesitation. And like I say here, less hesitation tends to build quicker progress because you're just acting, you're actually doing the action of trading and learning from it each time. So you're moving quicker because you're not hesitating, and intelligence creates hesitation sometimes. The real advantage of being less intelligent when it comes to trading is because of this, you're unaware of all these other factors that could happen. So you take more trades and you collect more type 2 data. If I scroll back up, you can remember type 2 data here is live decisions, journaling mistakes, emotional reps, and real consequences. These are the things that give you that edge. So it's super, super important. And collecting more of that type 2 data is just going to make you a profitable trader faster. Also, they have faster refinement and faster consistency. Because they are making their losses quicker that they need to make, they're building that data set up, they're getting more consistent, understanding what's right and what's wrong when it comes to their strategy, and they're refining it bit by bit a lot faster because they have the data to do that. A line I want you to remember from all this is a mediocre plan executed beats the perfect plan avoided. That purely boils down to taking action. Even if your plan isn't fully thought out or broken down, you're still executing the plan. And you could sit there for days, weeks, months on end building the perfect plan for yourself. But if you don't actually take action on it, then by the time you start on day one, this person that had a mediocre plan but started straight away is already profitable and you've not even started yet. So it's so important you just take action and start actually doing things rather than just watching videos. Now we'll get on to the real solution, which all boils down to simplicity and structure. Now, the tiny experiment that I want you to do off the back of this video is pick one specific setup or strategy, have one execution rule, have one risk model, and track your outcomes only. Now, having this tunnel vision and sticking to these individual things without including other variables is going to help you excel so much faster because you have a strict mechanical system in place where you can only do these specific things. There's no room for you to be cautious or hesitant because you're just trading or back testing or forward testing based off of this one setup, one execution rule, one risk model, and you're just tracking the outcomes. That's all that matters to you. You don't want to go in with, if you win, yes, you've made money, and if you lost, no, you've lost money. You want to change to that data collection mindset. That's why we're tracking the outcomes only here. So all trades, regardless of information, if you ever have a loss, it's not losing money. You've got feedback there. You've got reasons for why that trade's failed. You've got data you can build off. And emotion equals signals. What I mean by this is as soon as you start to feel yourself using your emotions or your emotions might start to take over, this is a signal for you that you're no longer acting mechanically, you're no longer sticking to this one setup, one execution rule, one risk model, and you're not just tracking the outcomes, you're acting emotionally based off the money you might make or lose if this trade comes in or if it doesn't. And that is when you need to realise, let's go back to the original plan, this is a signal that I'm going off track, let's just act mechanically. Now, another thing I want to talk about is why trading alone is actually keeping you stuck. And I know this will hit for a lot of people because for me personally, it was a big factor as to why I was unprofitable for a while. When you're trading alone, you have no accountability, You have no objective review, you have no one to challenge your bad habits, and it's easy to disappear after losses. So what I mean by this is if you take a loss, there's nobody around watching, so you can easily just sweep that under the rug. This helps you keep that smart trader identity, which we were talking about before. You want to avoid having that identity at all costs, and the way to do that is to not be pushing these losses under the rug, to hold yourself accountable, or to have somebody else to hold you accountable. If there's somebody else there that knows exactly what you're doing and how you're trading and can trade with you or just keep you accountable, they're going to give you an objective review. They're going to notice when you're starting to implement bad habits again, and they will challenge you for that, and they can pick up on them things because you won't do that to yourself, and they'll keep you accountable throughout the entire phase. That's why at Entity we have one-to-one mentors that will stay accountable with you. They will build you these objective reviews, and they'll make sure to stay on top to make sure that you're not making any of these mistakes or you don't fall back into these bad habits, to turn you from being an unprofitable trader into finally becoming profitable, which is the main goal, and it's why we're here. It's exactly like the gym. Now, with the gym, if you want to go to the gym and you want to get the perfect physique or your ideal physique, then don't get me wrong, you can do it alone. You can watch a few YouTube videos, you can go into a gym and you can do it alone. But if you have a training partner or a personal trainer, you are going to excel so much faster, because that personal trainer or that training partner can tell you where you might be going wrong, or they can keep you accountable to make sure that you turn up to the gym every day, and things like this are vital for your success. As I mentioned before, consistency and momentum beat everything, so moving forward at a consistent pace and not stopping or missing days is going to help you exceed. And this happens in the gym and in trading, and if you have somebody else there to keep you accountable, they're going to be turning up every day, so you have to turn up every day, and you can't avoid that. It's a lot easier to quit if it's unnoticed. If you're starting to do a few reps on a machine in the gym and you think, I'm getting a little bit tired now, so I'm probably just going to stop. If nobody's with you can just pop that weight down, nobody will know any better. However, the more you train with your gym partner or your personal trainer, if they see that you're just getting to the end of that session or the end of that exercise and you think, yeah, I'll just pop it down now, they're not going to let you do that. They will make sure that you push yourself to that stage where you're going to gain the most muscle and you're going to get in the shape that you want to get into, because they're the reps that count. And this is the exact same with trading. Them little tiny trades or them little tiny bits of data you're missing out on writing down or taking out of your trades is what's going to make you profitable, and having somebody there with you is vital. Now, if you haven't noticed from what I've spoken about already, it's clear to see that structure removes confusion. And that's why within our mentorship, we like to build yourself personally a structured plan to get you from exactly where you are now to where you want to be, along with a time frame, your financials of that, and how much funding you want to have, how good you want to be at trading, how often you want to trade, what's your time looking like. All of these things will be added in to build your own personalized plan to make sure that you can have that structure in place so you can have a clear tunnel vision mindset and get there as fast as possible. Not having structure in this is so hard because all of this intelligence is out there for you to learn, but you haven't got a guided pathway in terms of which things you actually need to learn. You've got all of this information you're trying to combine together, and that will never help. We've just also spoke about how accountability removes avoidance as well, and that is a huge part of our mentorship. We make sure that our mentors are one-to-one with you consistently, keeping you accountable, checking in on you to make sure that you are doing the work that you said you'd be doing and you're not falling back into them bad habits again. And having that person there for you is going to change your trading massively, especially if you traded by yourself for your entire trading career. The beauty of the mentorship is we provide a community of over 250 like-minded individuals that are also in the same space as you, trading the same strategy, looking at the same charts, having the same outlook consistently. And what that can do is it will remove that isolation factor for you entirely. You will no longer feel like when you're looking at a trade, if you have hesitancy because you don't know whether you're 100% certain in your analysis, you can just pop a message into this community and you have an abundance of people that can look at your analysis and help giving you an opinion. But the beauty of it is everybody has the same outlook. So nobody's going to give 1,000,001 different opinions or reasons that might counteract each other. If you have a community like ourselves that are all looking for the same thing on the charts, then there can't be any discretion made and everybody will agree on the same thing. This creates so much clarity and so much less hesitation for all of our clients and for yourself in the future if you just take the step to doing this. Now, if there's one thing I want you to take from this video, it's that most traders don't need more intelligence. They need direction. If you feel like you're that individual that might be lacking that direction and that structure in your trading career, then make sure to click the top link in the description to apply for our mentorship, and you can change yourself from being unprofitable for years to actually having that guided pathway and that accountability and that push to get you into being a profitable trader. Now, that's all I have for this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll make sure to get back to any of the comments if you guys do have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.